keep it going. Please.
Uproarious.
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 Oh, welcome,
Important.
welcome.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having
excited
me.
to have you here. We had so much to talk about, so much to get into, but
Yes, we do.
I love to start with, how are you? How are you doing?
I'm great.
Yeah?
I am having the time of my life right now. I'm in this extraordinary place. I'm back in New York City,
Very exciting.
working on a new play, and it's very rare that people have the opportunity to start over and reinvent and do, I'm always challenging myself to do things that scare me.
Yeah.
So here I am doing something that scares me, and I'm totally having a blast.
That's fantastic.
Yes.
I'm happy to hear that. And congratulations on this. It's very exciting.
Thank you.
Opens, previews start this Saturday, right?
On the
Coming up.
19th.
The 19th,
And
yeah.
then the opening is officially the 27th.
Yeah, officially open. Now, this part, you've been on the stage before. You're no stranger to theater. Does this part leading up to that day, that night, the first preview, the first show, the first audience, does it ever get easy? Is it always?
No, it's always nerve-wracking, and I always, there's those moments before I enter where my brain goes, no, I don't remember a word.
Yeah.
I have no idea what I'm going to say. I don't know why am I here? Please, God, fight or flight. The body I just want to go. And that is always the fun thing that fuels that first performance. And then it's the next performance that's so awkward. I think all actors can relate to this because you don't have that energy from the opening night, then you kind of try and recreate it and push too much. But this is the beautiful part of doing theater, is having the opportunity to have it be different every night and have the chance, because also the audience is the unknown characters. You don't know what you're going to get.
Yeah, a new experience for them every single time, so
Yep.
it's a new experience for you
Yeah,
as well.
yeah.
Very exciting. So for those that aren't familiar, tell us a little bit about the story behind If Only.
The story behind If Only is it's about a man and a woman who have re-met after 36 years. It's 36 years after the Civil War, and they've re-met at a mutual friend's funeral service. And the woman has invited him to her home. And throughout the course of the conversation, you find this is a very sophisticated woman from a very wealthy, upscale New York family at that time, and you learn that she was his nurse in the hospital, and that's how they met, and they became friends. And she's now married, and she has this very sort of solid life of propriety. And you find out that they actually, when they were kids, fell in love, but never said anything to each other because they couldn't. She's this upscale, New York, sophisticated young lady, and he's an escaped slave.
Yeah, which sounds like an incredible story.
Yes, it is, and it's so beautifully written, and it's not even just about that. I mean, that's the sort of primary arc of the story, but underneath it are all these layers of the issues of race and discrimination and what happened to the country after Lincoln was assassinated. It was Abraham Lincoln who introduced them to each other. And, about how the country had this great sense of hope when Lincoln was elected, and then when he was assassinated, things got very, very dark, and people became even more and more separated from one another. And it's very reflective, of a lot of what's going on now.
Yeah, well, that was actually one of the things that I was really keen to ask you as I was reading about this. I was wondering, was that sort of this opportunity to re-examine these conversations that are taking place today through a different sort of historical lens, was that part of the allure of the project, part of the draw?
Definitely. For me, it definitely was. I think, this story is about love and about, that we have to get past the divides. We have to get past the differences and realize that we really are all one, and that there really is not a place for hatred. And so I think this play definitely speaks to that a lot. It's not an uproarious, silly comedy, that's for sure. But it is there's so much going on right now, and there's so much that there's not even a discussion. Right. There's just people screaming at each other and now wounding each other and killing each other. it feels like we're in the middle of a civil war again.
100%. And that's it's especially after this past weekend. It's a very scary
Oh,
weekend,
my gosh.
very terrible weekend.
Our rehearsals this past weekend after Charlottesville were so fueled with for me, the just my mournful sorrow and I'm so confused by it all. I really don't understand why there is so much hatred. And it is being fueled, and we need to stop.
And I don't know if there ever will be a satisfactory answer to that question, right? Of like, why is it out there? But I do wonder, and you just mentioned this, as these events are taking place, and as you guys are rehearsing, does that influence the performance? Does it influence the team, the cast, the vibe and stage, how it comes across in the story now? How does that
absolutely. It is absolutely interwoven. The occurrences and the things we're seeing in the news right now are absolutely interwoven into this, and I can feel it. I mean, I carry those things into rehearsal. It's interesting, I'm not carrying anything that's going on in my personal life, which is, I mean, I have the I'm living a dream right now. My personal life is
he's
like,
absolutely delightful. So I imagine
is he not? And
he's very nice. Yeah.
We have these extraordinary children and a grandchild, and we live in a log house in the middle of the woods in Michigan. And
really?
yeah, no, really, really, really. It's a very little house on the prairie.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
But it's a big log house. It's not, like a one-room house with a tarp over the top of it.
Big house
But it's a very peaceful. I have this wonderful, peaceful life. So I don't have to carry in any angst. But what I carry in with me is just this overall sense of I'm either very, very angry or very sorrowful about what I'm witnessing.
Does that process, does it become therapy? Because a lot of people find therapy through art, through music, through the experience of entertainment in a way. And so are you finding it helpful for you and the cast members to sort of process some of these feelings and process some of these thoughts and work through them through art, through this way?
Yeah, and I think that definitely is a part of it, and I think art is always reflective of what is going on, and so there is a sort of emotional catharsis that comes with it. But then there's also an examination of I'm examining my own attitudes about people of different races and different ideals, and how do I feel about certain things, and am I too touchy, or am I not touchy enough, or am I not sensitive enough? Do I have a sense of white privilege? I did grow up, I haven't had to struggle. I've had, believe me, my own struggles, but that has not been a struggle for me. So I don't think it's fair for me to say, yes, I understand what you're going through as an African-American person in America today, especially in Charlottesville or in Alabama or, in a very, very divided part of the country.
Does that add to or just maybe create another facet to sort of the nervousness or the anticipation of opening up for previews and sharing this now with the world and sharing this with an audience? Because
it didn't until you said that, but thank you so much. Now I feel like an entire responsibility to teach a lesson to the nation.
Well, no, I think... Thanks for coming on, Bill. It's been awesome to have you here, Melissa. I'm so glad.
It's really great. No, really, no. My life was fine until I met you, and now I feel like
I hear that a lot.
Changed the tenure of the entire United States of
Not
America.
the first to say that to me.
Good.
I think I have to do some self-examination. I think after this. But
did you do this to like The Rock or Gal Gadot?
Yes, all of them. All of them.
Lord.
No, I didn't mean it in a negative or scary way.
I know what you meant.
But of course, just sharing this experience. I think the reason this works, or I'm excited to see this and experience it as a play, as opposed to experience it on a television screen or experience it on a movie screen, is because of the human connection that you can only have in the theater, which I think these conversations need.
This is our way of being able to sit down with people, and it's a very intimate space. It's the studio at the Cherry Lane
Theater, right?
Yeah, and so it's not a large space, and we're very, very close. So it is almost like we're having a conversation with the audience about these issues and about love and about being true to who you are and being, not allowing the world to turn you into someone who you aren't, but to be who you are authentically in yourself. And how sad it is to live a life that is not true.
Yeah. Let me ask you this: when you set out to find your next project, your next thing to work on, did you specifically set out for something in the theater? Did you? Or?
You know what? I've had such a varied existence. I've done so many things. By last election cycle, I was the Democratic nominee for Congress in Michigan's 8th district, in our district, and then I had to drop out of the race because I had a herniated disc in my neck and I was losing function in my right arm, and I had to have spinal fusion surgery, and there was just so much stuff going on. And I've been working on. I'm healed, by the way. I'm fine. I've been working on projects with my husband, and he teaches at Michigan State University, and we have independent films that we have out all over the place. And so we came here to New York kind of just to, we were sort of getting our feelers out and hanging out, and the dream was, sure, it would be great to get a play or do a play in New York. Wouldn't that be fun? And I said to my agents, this is me. I am no longer a redhead. This is the natural color of my hair. There is this is what my 53-year-old face looks like. Let's do this, I can do whatever. And they said, well, guess what? There's this play.
We got a play.
And I did what every actor does. I got the sides that night. I printed them. I worked on them. And I went in and auditioned like anybody else would. And they hired me.
How was that process? When was the last time you had to go on an audition?
It's been a while.
Yeah.
It's been a while. But, I do. And in these instances, there is more opportunities for actors to cross over from films to television to commercials to theater. But there is a little bit of a line there, and especially when I'm working with people who may be younger and are not familiar with Little House on the Prairie, or immediately think, oh no, I don't want that Little House weepy whatever.
Yeah, they walk in with their own preconceived.
Right. Wait, isn't she 12 with pigtails? That I get a lot, which is funny. None of my children are even 12 anymore. The youngest one is the opposite. He's 21.
Isn't that crazy though? How psychologically everyone's, I thought you'd still be 12. Why?
Yeah. Why?
No.
Because it's there on the television every day.
Yeah, you were just 12.
Yeah, in my living room. You were running up a hill, or down a hill, or running. I never walked on that show. I ran.
Always in a rush.
No, always running. Yeah. Always running. So, I had to come in and show people, and that's part of what this is, that no matter what I do, whether it's, volunteer work or stepping out into the public political forum, at my heart of hearts, I'm an actor and I love my job.
Well, that kind of answers my next question I was going to ask you, because of all the different things you've done, right? You've acted, you've produced, you've written, you wrote with your husband, you wrote the short that you guys did together, I believe, right?
Yes, One Smart Fellow.
And all these different things you've done, been on stage. The mean question was going to be, all right, you got to pick one. What's your creative outlet?
I love acting.
Yeah,
I love being an actor. I love the process of acting. I love the process of creating a character from the beginning. I mean, I'm going to go today to Sephora and buy her makeup now, because we're in tech tomorrow, and the wig and the thing and the corset, which I haven't been in corset for the last couple of weeks in rehearsal. Corsets were not so bad at 23. It's a different story at 53, especially with all the metal in my spine. I have fused in 3 places. Yeah, I'm actually a Terminator. People don't know that. Come with me if you want to live.
I thought this was incredible that when you were doing the Little House on the Prairie musical tour, and correct me if I'm wrong, I had read that you were performing, unbeknownst to you, with a broken back.
Yep. That's me. We call that pinty. That's Melissa getting pinty. She's all pint, half pint. I had a piece of bone floating around in my back for 6 months. I was in terrible pain, but nobody caught that. They saw the collapsed disc. So when the tour was over, I went back to my spinal physician when I lived in LA, and he said, this is worse. So again, there was another spinal surgery and walker and nurses at home, but I came back.
You bounced right back.
Yeah, and then ended up on Dancing with the Stars.
Dancing with the Stars.
I did that to prove to myself that I could do it after the broken back, and then Max dropped me on my neck, and
Are the walls at the theater padded? Well, just incidentally.
My husband said to one of my doctors during this whole neck thing, they said, you have to be really careful. She can't have any more slips and falls. And it was winter. He said, no, I'm salting in the house.
Everywhere. The stage has a guardrail.
Yes,
Just making
no,
sure.
right, no, yes, Melissa. Actually, there's pillows and cushions. I'm wrapped in bubble wrap in my costume. Yeah.
You have to be. We touched on it briefly. You worked with your husband Tim on One Smart Fellow, your short film, and then I saw, I think it was 2015 or so. He directed an episode of The Night Shift that you were on. Am I right?
Yes, yeah.
So
And then Secrets and Lies, the first season of Secrets and Lies.
So it sounds like you guys really enjoy working together. You have fun working together. You look for opportunities to do it. So it's not a matter of you guys are together all day and then you bring that home with you, or no? What's that like?
No, we work. We are a creative duo. We do this all the time. We sit at home and improvise. We have cameras and we have a room with wigs and glasses and costumes, and we just come up with these characters and we start playing with them, and then we start writing stuff, and then we start shooting stuff. We're creating constantly. And now we have a company that we started with Jeff Daniels, who's also a Michigander, called Grand River Productions, and we're actually going to start making things soon. I can't say anything more about it, but I live this very creative life with this man who just continues to push me to be more and more creative, and it's just so much fun. And we laugh all the time. I mean, there's, we will drop our IQs down to whatever immediately just for a laugh.
Do any of the kids ever get involved in any of the creativity?
All of our kids. All of our kids. We have Willie Busfield is a director of photography, a brilliant one. He's going to be working with us on a project that we have coming up this winter. We worked with my son Michael. I have kids who are boom operators and background performers, and we have designers and a makeup artist, and so we actually have an entire crew with our kids and their spouses. So at some point, my dream would be to have us all work together as one and create something.
And then you'll have to come back in and talk about that.
Absolutely. Okay, we'll come back. That will happen.
Good. I'm going to hold you to that.
Yeah.
Then I'm going to find things that they don't realize they're nervous about, and I'm going to point them out on live conversation.
You should definitely, please frighten my children for me, will you? It's so much fun. And if you could frighten my grandchild, that would be even better.
That's why we're here.
Yes,
It's what we do at
I
Build
know.
every single day.
Yes.
We're going to turn it over to the audience in just a second. Wouldn't be doing my job, though, if I didn't reiterate here. If only, previews start August 19th, running through September 17th, Cherry Lane Theater. And tickets are available now online, cherrylanetheater.org, or by phone. Look at this, 866-811-4111. Or if you want to get old-fashioned, just walk up to the old ticket box office thing there that they have at the theater.
You have all the information.
Hey, in addition to frightening grandchildren, plugging stuff. That's what we do.
My leading man, by the way, in this play is a fantastic actor, Mark. He is just brilliant. And we did a film together 25 years ago in Tampa. We were partners. We were cops together, and we haven't seen each other in 25 years, so we were able to and we got along great.
Did you tap into that? Yeah.
So we aside from the, drop it part of, it's great to be back together, and he's just, to have a partner on stage who is as agile and wonderful as he is, just makes it even better. And our director, Chris, is one of my favorites, and I don't use words like that very often, but he's one of those people who's able to give us notes that just go so deep. I'm really excited for people to come see this.
There is a genuine...
And terrified.
Of
you,
excited.
just you.
Mostly,
I'm only afraid of you, but
60-40.
Absolutely not. 80-20.
80-20.
Excited.
That's what we're looking for. Well, there's a palpable, a genuine excitement. I'm really excited to check it out.
You have to come.
I'm there.
Come
100%.
see. Just don't tell me before.
100%. I won't.
You
No.
can come backstage and scare me after.
You got it.
Okay.
I promise I will.
Good.
With that, we have some microphones in the room. Let's turn it on over to our way less scary audience who have some questions for you right here in the front.
Fantastic.
Hi. I've been a really big fan since I was a little kid. I've been watching you from Little House on the Prairie growing up. How was your childhood growing up, since you've been an actress since you were a little kid? Did you have a normal friendship, regular schooling?
I started working actually when I was 2 years old. I did commercials and stuff, but I grew up in a family of performers and writers. My dad started out as an acrobat in the circus with Ringling Brothers when he was a kid. With his parents his dad was a vaudevillian, his mom was a trapeze artist. So and then on my mother's side, there's comedy writers and actors and stuff. So this was sort of the family business. For me, I thought it was a normal childhood. When I wasn't working, I went to a private school, but a school, and I had friends, and I had sleepovers, and I had dance class, and I had all that stuff, and I had siblings, and I had chores. But I also had this other thing when Little House on the Prairie came out. Suddenly, I was, signing autographs, and people were, chasing me down the street, and sometimes trying to pull my hair, and it got scary at times growing up. So it really didn't get weird until puberty and adolescence, and then dating, and then nobody wants to go through puberty on camera, and I did. So like all the awkward stuff
What a
is just
nightmare.
it's like home movies of that part's really difficult. So that part of it was odd, but it was mine. And my family, we had stuff. There were marriages and divorces. My father passed away when I was 11. And there's some trauma there that I grew up with that everybody has. We all have stuff like that. But whatever it all was, it led to this.
Yeah.
And I am in such an amazing place right now in my life. I'm so settled and peaceful and calm, aside from being afraid of him.
Man, I'm not getting off the hook for that question.
You are done.
I do want to ask, though, you tapped on this a little bit, and something I always find fascinating when we have someone who was part of the entertainment world at such an early age, is that you're right. Growing up, you had what you thought was normal, right?
Right,
It was normal.
right.
Do you, by chance, remember when you started to go, maybe this isn't normal? Maybe there is something different. What is it? If this isn't normal, then what is? Do you remember when that switch started to flip, or did that switch ever
It
flip?
didn't
No.
really. I just, didn't really understand the depth of it until I was much older. But then it was just part of it. But I grew up and was highly recognizable at a time where there was still a modicum of privacy. There were paparazzi, and they had cameras, but now everyone is a paparazzi. So there's no place where where there's privacy between the phones and the ability to just instantly put something up online. So I think it's much more difficult on the young performers today. And, I read about this stuff and the kids that are having trouble when they're going through trouble. And I sort of want to start a group home for them and say, come stay with me. I can help you through this. I know what this
been
is
here
like.
before. I know what
Yeah.
this is, yeah.
But there were great blessings that came with it too. I was able to travel and experience things I would not have otherwise, and I got to be mentored by one of the all-time great actor, director, writer, producers in the history of television, Michael Landon.
Yeah.
He was my pa on the show, and he was my pa off camera, and was there for me when my own dad passed away, and we were very close socially, our families. And when I went to normal school, I went to school with the school his kids went to. We went on vacations together as families and on spring break. So, yeah, that was it. That part of it was very normalizing. I mean, yes, it was Michael Landon, but we still ate jelly beans, and he let me have all the black jelly beans. So
That sounds like an amazing list of memories that you get.
it
to
is,
hold on
and
to,
it just
yeah.
continues to grow and grow and grow.
Yeah, very cool. Next question from the audience is right over yonder.
Hey, Melissa.
Hi.
The story for the play sounds really interesting. How historically accurate do you know is it a story, or like how much? Has
It
changed?
is. It is. It is not the story. It is not a true story, as far as we know. There's not a documented story that follows these two particular people, but I'm sure things like this did occur. There are references to events, historical events, that are accurate, and there's a lot of quotes that are accurate. But it is an emotional interpretation of what this situation of these two people being in love at this time might have been like, what it would have felt like and looked like, which is not dissimilar from what interracial relationships are looked at from the outside today. People, there are people who just don't see color, and there are people who do see it and rail against it too. So I think that part of it is historically accurate, and it speaks a lot to what the country is like after a great tragedy. And what happens when something happens, we all come together. Like we did on September 11th. Everybody came together, but eventually it created divides.
Yeah.
And now we have these issues where people are afraid of people who have different religious beliefs because they believe those are the people that are behind everything that happens in the world that's bad. So now we're at that phase of it. And so in this story, they're at that phase after Lincoln's assassination.
Wow. I believe we have time for one
Heavy
more.
stuff.
Yeah, very heavy
It's,
stuff.
well, like I said, it's not a lighthearted comedic romp.
We have one more question, and it's
Yes.
going to be right in the front,
Hi.
right here.
Hi.
I'm a big fan. I'm actually named after you, to be honest. Yeah.
Are you a Melissa or a Laura?
I'm a Melissa.
Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you. Do you like your name?
Yeah, I didn't know I was
I
named
did
after
too.
you like years later.
I had
actually.
so many friends growing up when we were kids who wanted to change their names, and I never did. I always liked my name.
My question to you is, what do you want the audience to learn like what do you want them to come out of it after seeing your play?
Yeah, remember, this is a big deal, and there's a lot of pressure on you to get this right, and you should be really...
Don't make it worse.
You should...
What is wrong with you?
That's so rude.
You said I wasn't getting off the hook. I figured I would
Seriously, the
I just try to
worst.
get through to the other side. I figured if I just kept going, I'd get to the other side.
No pressure. You know what? I think the primary thing I want people to come away with is that love is love is love is love is love. And no matter who you are and no matter what circumstances you live in, you have to you have to be true to yourself and who you are and allow yourself to be who you are no matter what. Because otherwise you're going to live a tiny, uncomfortable life. And it's important to let go and be free and always be authentic.
Oh, you nailed that. So, see, you have nothing to be afraid of.
No, I just have to make sure everybody knows that when they leave the theater.
I'll help you. I'll stand outside. I'll
With
pass
the
out
sign?
leaflets.
Will
I'm
you
gonna
pass
have
out
a
the
sign. I'm gonna do
pamphlets?
the whole 9.
Okay,
I'm going to be
good.
there for you.
Thank you.
You'll be relieved to know we've run out of time.
Oh,
No.
this was great. I thought this was fun.
I had so much fun with you here, and I want to thank you so much for making the time. I know you're super busy. I know you guys are in crunch time. I know it's almost there. So thank you for carving out some time to come hang out with
Sure,
us
my
and be
pleasure,
here.
my pleasure.
Guys, I want to remind you to check out cherrylanetheater.org for tickets and information. If only the 19th, definitely go check it out. And one more time, please make some noise. Melissa Gilbert, everybody.
Thanks,
Come on.
guys.